So what is the best Apple Kit smart plug? Well, I've got 5 here. I've got the iHome ISP8, the Elgato Eve Energy, a KooGeek SmartPlug, Incipio Command Kit, and the iDevices switch. And out of these 5 plugs, the winner goes to the iHome, but it's not necessarily the best plug for the job. Everything that I produce on Smart Home Reviews is based on my own personal experience with these products. I generally ignore the marketing fluff on boxes because, well, it's kind of useless, and I just stick with the actual functionality the product provides. In addition to the top 5 list, I will also highlight certain products that will work better in certain situations than higher rated plugs. For example, this iDevice switch is, in my opinion, the best bathroom-bedroom smart plug, even though it's only number 2. If you're looking to see how else you can use a smart plug, check out my intro to smart plugs videos. So let's just get started. Number 5 goes to the KooGeek SmartPlug. The only thing really going for the KooGeek SmartPlug is the price. On average, it's $10 cheaper, which may seem attractive at first, but it's the only plug on this list that doesn't include energy monitoring, which might not be a big deal if all you're doing is using this plug to control a lamp. And the size is kind of an issue for me because it kind of blocks the second outlet. The app itself isn't very well developed. It's very basic, and their Apple Watch app, though I do give them props for having one, is quite unusable in my opinion. But again, it's $10 cheaper, so you do get what you pay for. Number 4 is the Incipio Command Kit Smart Plug. It's quite large, but unlike the KooGeek, won't completely render your outlet useless if you plug it into the bottom plug. Command Kit is probably one of the worst apps that I've used when it comes to smart home stuff, since it does crash on certain devices and doesn't show all the compatible HomeKit devices in your home. Number 3 goes to the Elgato Eve Energy. I personally really like Elgato's Eve lineup. Eve Energy is the only plug on this list that works on Bluetooth, which might be consideration for those whose Wi-Fi is spotty. It also means that the smart plug is a little slower when it comes to turning on and off. The manual button on this unit is actually tiny, so this smart plug will work well for appliances where you don't need to constantly manually power on and off. If you're looking to use a smart plug with a larger appliance like a dehumidifier, I definitely recommend the Eve Energy, as the sister app allows you to track energy usage over time. The majority of the apps do not have this feature. Now, the overtime tracking of energy is very important to me because I use this with my dehumidifier. So every single time I leave the house, I've got HomeKit, I've got an automation that tells the humidifier to turn on, and when I arrive home, it turns off. So it's still working, but I don't ever hear it because it's just so loud. But how do I know that the appliance is actually going on? I can go into the Elgato Eve app and see that as I'm gone between these 4 hours, the dehumidifier was consuming energy. So that extra bit of information just makes this plug just so much more useful than the majority of these plugs that I have here. I will note that the smart plug score is lower than the other 2 because it only works with HomeKit. The top 2 plugs score higher because of the added compatibility with other systems. So if all you're doing is building a smart home based on Apple's HomeKits, then this smart plug is going to be it's going to be worth getting. Now, before I get to the details of the top 2, which I've already told you guys, if you are planning on getting a bunch of smart plugs, consider getting it through my links. It won't cost you any more, and I'll get a bit of commissions, which kind of helps me do future videos. None of these companies have approached me to sponsor me for these videos, so I went out and bought all these plugs myself. And I do this because I like the smart home stuff, and I kind of want to know which one's the best. So considering helping me out in that way. So on to the first 2, top 2. Number 2 goes to the iDevices switch, which is going to be the best smart plug for use in a bedroom or bathroom where hair appliances are constantly being plugged in. Why? Because the plug is on the side, so it doesn't get in the way as much, and the button on the smart plug is quite large, so it's not terrible to use, especially when you compare it to the Eve Energy with the tiny button. It also comes with a night light, so it ensures that you don't hurt yourself when you're doing your sleepy time number 1s. And last but not least is that it doesn't block the second plug, which is so handy. So very, very handy. Now, the only big problem I had with the iDevices switch was when I constantly pulled it in and out. So I've treated all these plugs as portable plugs, right? So, every once in a while I want to plug an appliance into my kitchen, but it only needs to be used once. And every once in a while, the iDevices switch would reset itself. It wouldn't find the network. I would have to go through a bunch of troubleshooting, and that got very frustrating for me. But for times where I just left it plugged in to control like my product shot lights, this switch was very good to use. The iDevices app isn't anything special. It has all the basics to it, but their Apple Watch Companion app is one of the better ones that I've used. The iDevices switch also works with Amazon Alexa, which is nice if you're running both smart home networks. On to number 1, which is the iHome ISP8. The standout feature for the iHome ISP8 plug is the fact that it works with almost every smart home protocol. So if you're just running HomeKit, then this won't matter much. But if you're trying to decide what smart home protocol to go with, then this is kind of a jack of all trades smart plug. The ISP8 is small enough that it doesn't block the second outlet. It comes with a remote that doesn't require line of sight. So this is a great plug for use with larger appliances, in my opinion. It has an energy monitoring feature, which is useful to see how much energy an appliance is using. Now, one of the standout features for this plug is that out of the 4 that I have here, the iHome ISP8 is the only one that you can access remotely without having to set up HomeKit through an Apple TV or an iPad. The one downside is that you actually have to sign up with iHome, so you have to create an account with them and then you can remotely control those devices. I think it's kind of a dick move in a way, because in order for me to change the temperature on the iHome home sensor, I had to create an account with them. So to go from degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius, I was forced to sign into, to create an account with iHome. So when it comes to smart home stuff, I would prefer that all my information, all the data runs through one protocol and it doesn't go to a third-party server, only because I'm afraid of stuff getting hacked and whatnot. But that's just my personal opinion. If that doesn't matter to you, then being able to remotely control your iHome plug through iHome.com or iHome, whatever the website is very handy. And the last thing I'll say about this plug is that it works with almost, again, any sort of protocol. I think the only one I couldn't find it working with was IFTTT. I think I said too many T's. So this will work with Google, it will work with Amazon, and definitely works with HomeKit. So if you haven't chosen which smart home protocol, as I said before, then get this as a smart plug. So that's kind of all I got. Again, if you're looking for ways to use a smart plug, check out my introduction to smart plugs video. If this video was helpful to you, considering getting it through one of my links, because again, none of these companies sponsor me for any of this stuff and for the time that I put into this video. So if any questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching.